Hey friends, so this is the next day after we did the video with Lonna. Guys, you don't want to miss this video. We had some slight issue with the audio where you can hear a little bit of echo behind. I've spent all day trying to clean it, but I couldn't do it. But I promise you, you do not want to miss that video. Enjoy. So you went for what you felt you needed to do, and you met Kenny, who's the love of your life, right? So it
Right.
was meant to be. And the other thing that I love in what you're talking about is the way you talk about your ex. You know, it's a good person, and you still friend today. This
Yeah,
is rare.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. He and I actually love his new wife. He went to the
Ooh.
Philippines and got a Filipino wife and brought her back to the States. And I love her. She is so sweet. And we've worked really well together raising our sons. So Dylan wasn't able to play us against each other, like most divorced
Yeah.
kids do, um, because we were on the same page. And
Hey friends, hi, hey friends. So we are continuing with our marriage series. This time the camera quality is gonna be a bit less because I'm on my webcam and I'm in a conservatory and there's a lot of sun everywhere, but except where I am. So I have a friend with me today. I have a surprise guest with me today, guys. She's a beautiful, loving person. She also has a channel. I will let her introduce herself. And I thought that for this marriage series, it's important to listen to other women that have been married. And my guest today has a very unique experience as well in a marriage. So, without making you wait too long, let me introduce you to my beautiful guest. She's a lovely, lovely friend. We are all doing this 30 days, 30 video challenge. So, I'll stop talking and bring her on stage now. Hello.
hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, good. So happy to have you here, Lonna.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting to be part of my marriage series
Of
on
course.
yeah. So, Lonna, can you introduce yourself, please? You, your channel.
Okay. I'm Lonna Lane. My channel is Lonna Ray DHD, and that is kind of a play on words. I have severe ADHD combined type, and I'm also a psychiatric registered nurse. So, my goal for my channel is to educate and raise awareness for ADHD, and hopefully, people will either resonate with it or understand that it's not fake. Um, I'm married. I've been married to my husband for 13 and a half years.
Wow.
And we got married after we knew each other for 7 months. And I'm also divorced. I was divorced a couple of times. One of them was really short lived, and the other one I was married to for 10 years. And if you want me to get into why we got divorced, we can get into that a little bit later. But that's me. Hi, everyone.
Hey, hi, Lona. So happy to have you here. And yes, guys, go check out Lona's channel. She's very knowledgeable about ADHD. And so, even if you have not been diagnosed as ADHD, and if you want to learn and find out if you have it, she really simply explained to you, how you can maybe identify it on yourself, how you can um, help me out. Uh,
Yeah. So
and
how you can resonate if you have like you might notice that, hey, that sounds like me, maybe I need to look into this a little bit more, because people who have ADHD are often accused of being just crazy or
yeah,
out there, and especially if they're undiagnosed. So
yeah, exactly. And your series, honestly, every time I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for putting word where I could not, because since I've been a kid, I'm a troubled kid. The black sheep. You know,
yeah.
and knowing that I'm not crazy and there's nothing wrong with me.
No, there's
So
not.
it's so helpful. So please go check out. And Lonna, you have a second channel too. Can you
Yeah.
talk about it?
My other channel was actually my first channel, and it was supposed to be me and my husband DIYing projects around our property. We bought our property in 2020 and built our home completely by ourselves, everything
Ah,
except for drilling the well. That's the only thing we didn't do ourselves. And being as we both have ADHD, we're still working on it 4 years later. But the purpose of that channel was supposed to be to follow our journey, and then it kind of morphed into being just more of a cleaning and organizing type thing. So I post a video once a week over there of just cleaning and organizing, that kind of stuff.
wow. Because I met you like a few months back, and although I've seen the latest video, I haven't gone back to the history of your channel. So I knew that there's some work that you've been doing, but I never realized that when you said you built the house, you meant that you built it from
Yes.
scratch.
Yes, we did everything. We
Okay.
actually bought wooded 6 acres of wooded property in Lake of the Ozarks, and we did everything from clearing the land to building the driveway to designing and building our house, everything ourselves.
That is amazing. And your house is so beautiful. I love, guys, we're going to get to the marriage part, but let me chat to my friend first. Uh, I love when you do your cleaning video. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're doing so much. And when you shared lately about the 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
as I'm like, that was a aha moment. In 5 minutes, you can do quite a bit.
Yep.
Uh, so that's something that I'm going to be doing when I go back home because I'm in my house seat right now.
Right.
But even here, I think I'm going to test drive it here.
It
The,
works. I've
yeah,
had a lot of people commenting. They'll be like, "So your house never looks dirty. So why are you cleaning a clean house?" I am not one of those people that's just going to go make a mess just to film.
yeah.
Like, this is my real life, and what you see is what you get. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes I do a good job of keeping up with it, but I just thought, well, I'm just going to show people why it always seems to be fairly clean when I clean it, because I work on it every day, a little bit at a time.
And that's even better because it's less overwhelming.
Yeah,
If you do a little bit each day.
right.
So let's enter into the subject why people are actually here
Okay.
for marriage, because otherwise I can't talk to you until tomorrow. um so Lonna, can you share with us your journey into finding love after your first marriage ended? If
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was a teenager, I was dating somebody, and um, he was very abusive towards me.
Okay.
So his best friend actually walked into, I've been on my own since I was 15, so probably need to go back and start there. I have been taking care of myself since I was 15. So when I was 16, I had my own apartment, and I was fighting with my boyfriend because I was really explosive back then. And he was attacking me, and his best friend actually came in and like saved me. And so I thought that that must be what love was. So I ended up marrying this guy, and it lasted about 6 months. And then we broke it off, and I met my oldest son's father, and we got married a year after we met, and we were together for 10 years. And the reason that we uh, ended up getting divorced is because my best friend died.
Oh,
And after she died, it was like, life is too short. I wasn't happy. Things were just like, it wasn't that we didn't get along. I just wasn't happy. So I just like, well, life is too short. I can't do this anymore. And we went our separate ways. We're still actually friends.
that's
But
good.
um, we went our separate ways and raised our son together. And then I met Kenny. And the way I met him was I was with my sister and her boyfriend, who happens to be Kenny's dad. And we were at Kenny's bar. And I was shooting pool. I put quarters up on the table so I could like take the table away from somebody. And I hadn't shot in pool in a long time. So Kenny was the one that was shooting. And that was the first time I met him. And I beat him at pool. So that was yay,
Oh,
go me.
yeah.
um, that was the first time we met, and then we just started talking because he was going through a divorce and I was going through a divorce, and we had a lot in common. So we started talking, and then we ended up talking more and more and more. And a few months later, we decided, you know what, this is gonna work. So we got married, and we met in December and we got married on July 1st.
Wow.
So
Would you say that was love? You know,
yes. Yeah, and I mean, he gets me. He's the first person I've ever met in my life that I've been in a relationship with, and I've been in a lot of relationships. He's the
yeah,
first one that's ever got me. Like, he's very patient and understanding, and he has ADHD too, which helps because I don't have to worry about him calling me crazy or picking at me to try to get me to
yeah,
explode. He
yeah.
doesn't do that, and he's the first person that has been that way with me.
Wow, that's amazing. That's beautiful. So, you know, because you've been married before, what I want to ask you is, did you have any fear or hesitation when you came to meeting, deciding to marry your present husband?
Um, no, and a lot of the reason for that is because of my impulsivity. My ADHD is severe, so if I think about doing something, I'm going to do it like right then, jump in 2 feet first without even thinking about it. I don't.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't think about consequences. So I just do things and then learn the hard way. And thankfully, it has worked out. It was bad enough that my own mom, when I told her that I was getting married, she's like, it's not going to last. So she wouldn't even come. It was just a small, like, lakeside wedding with just my husband and my sister and his dad and a couple of close family and friends. But my mom would not come. She's like, it's not going to last anyway. So that's
That's so
how
funny.
flighty I am. I really don't consider consequences when I do things, which is bad, but it's just the way my brain works.
Yeah, and I understand that, Luna, and I can really relate. You know, when I married my husband as well, before my husband, I was with somebody for like 4.5 years, and so my family loved that person, etc. And then I met my husband, and when I met him, um, I don't know, there's something with him, that I knew that that was the person that I would marry.
Yeah.
And so when I announced that to my family that I was going to get married, we already set up everything, and the marriage was like next month or something like that. They all were shocked that I was going to get married, and they didn't give us a year, and it's been 26 years.
That's
You know,
awesome.
exactly. And so the same for me is like I'm a lot impulsive, but I don't know, when you know.
Yep.
And the consequences anyway, whatever action that we do in life is consequences, and we just
Right.
have to accept them. So yeah, that's a beautiful story. Okay, right. So do you see you I mean you I think you've already answered to that question, like the difference between your previous marriage, because it's Kenny, right? I want to make sure that I pronounce his name properly.
Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah, because Kenny has also ADHD. It makes it easier, so it gets you.
Yes. Uh,
And
so my ex-husband, the one that I was married to for 10 years, the first one was a narcissist, and narcissists and ADHD don't really I thought that he saved me from my other ex, so he must be the one. But
yeah,
I was raised in a really abusive home, so I didn't know what love was actually until I met Kenny. So I just
Wow.
I just thought that he must love me if he's protecting me or saving me from this crazy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then my ex Kevin that I was married to for 10 years, we actually got along really well, and we would probably still be married if my friend wouldn't have died. But when she died, it like devastated me. For I was messed up really bad for a while, and that just kind of kicked me in the butt and said, you know what, you really need to do something to make yourself happy, because I just wasn't. He's a good guy. I can't say anything bad about him. We just were not. We were like roommates, and I didn't want to live the rest of my life with a roommate.
Yeah, there's two great points that you just addressed here. First is that a lot of people will stay in a marriage even if they're not happy anymore, maybe
Yep.
because of what people would think, maybe just by fear of being alone. And I
Yeah.
guess that could be like a good thing about ADHD is that you do how you feel things,
Hmm.
the impulsivity that you were talking about. And so you went for what you felt you needed to do. And you met Kenny, who's the love of your life, right? So it
Right.
was meant to be. And the other thing that I love in what you're talking about is the way you talk about your ex. It's a good person and you still friend today. This
Yeah.
is rare.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. He and I actually love his new wife. He went to the
Oh,
Philippines and got a Filipino wife and brought her back to the States. And I love her. She is so sweet. And we worked really well together raising our son. So Dylan wasn't able to play us against each other, like most divorced
yeah.
kids do. Um, because we were on the same page, and him and Kenny get along really well. They've actually worked together, done construction projects together, and he's a good guy. We just were not on the same page anymore. There's a really big age gap between us, and well, not really big, but 12 years.
Yeah.
And so we weren't from the same generation. We didn't think the same. And he's really happy now. He's still married to the same one that he got married to after we divorced. So, they're doing really well, and I'm glad that we've been able to maintain a friendship.
This is an amazing story, because I've seen so many people who got married, who loved each other, had kids, and then when they separate, it's war, you
Yeah.
know, they
And
kind of hate each other.
it's
And
so bad for the kids.
I know exactly. And to keep that relation where you actually, get along and you with his wife and him with Kane, it's beautiful, even for the kid, right? For
Yeah.
Dylan.
Yeah.
So it's so beautiful. I wish more couple. It's something that I said in the last video of married is that one of the advice was no matter how you feel with each other, whether you agree or not, there's one thing you need to keep respecting each other.
Yeah.
If not for both of you, for your kids,
Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
because they're the one who suffer when the parents, if all divorce were like this, kids would not be suffering so much
I
because they see their kids, their parents happy.
Right.
And so do you sometimes like have dinner? Did you ever have dinner together, the four of
Uh,
you?
not really. We didn't like go hang out or anything like that, but he hasn't been to this house, but when we lived in Iowa, he'd been to our house, him and Leilani, when they would come pick Dylan up or something. Jackson would be out, he's my youngest son with Kenny. He'd be
Yeah.
outside talking to him, and Kevin gave Jackson his phone number and told him, you can text me anytime, you can call me anytime. Like, you don't want to do that because he'll drive you crazy. But he's even good with my son that's not his. So I really appreciate the kind of relationship that we were able to maintain. It was important to me because with Kenny's ex, things didn't go so well. She was not trying to be friendly with either one of us, and it destroyed his kids because of it.
Oh, so Kenny has kids as well with his ex.
Yes, but she poisoned the kids against him and against me, and they were young enough that they don't really remember the circumstances of their divorce, and she she said some things that were not true, and so they can't stand me, and things just didn't. We weren't able to have that kind of relationship with her. We definitely tried, but
Uh, oh, I'm really sorry. And this is what I was talking about because most marriage that end um, than not end up this way,
yeah,
where and this is something that I promised myself that if I ever separated with my husband, I have no intention because he's watching my video. I have no intention, darling. I'm just search. I'm just giving an example. I want to make sure that for all the love, the years that we live together for our children, is still somebody that is very close to me, you
yeah,
know? Whether
yeah.
we're not
I mean,
together anymore, I wish him well with whoever he wants to be with. And I want us to still keep a close relationship because more than my husband is my best friend, is part of my family,
yeah,
you know. So that's, yeah, that's a good advice as well for the people watching us, regardless if the husband left or the whatever the reason. It's important, and mainly when you have kids, it's
yes,
really important to find in you um you know s- something to try to get at least cordial, right? Uh,
yes.
relationship, even if you don't have to be friends, but at least respect for each other.
Right. Respect is huge. It's the kids, like my son will be 23 in a couple of weeks. Holy cow. Um
Time.
yeah, and he's my best friend. Well, Kenny's my best friend, but like Dylan and I are really close, and he's really close with his dad. And I'm when I talk to him, I'll be like, "So, how's your dad doing?" And making sure is everything okay. And it's really cool that my son knows that it's okay to talk to me about his
Mm,
dad, and it's okay to talk to his dad about me, and it's okay to talk to Kenny about his dad, and talk to his dad about Kenny, because a lot of exes get jealous over the
yeah,
new spouse, and they don't want they don't want to hear it. They don't want their kid anywhere near this person, and they don't want to even attempt to be friends with them. So
yeah.
Dylan, I feel like Dylan is really lucky. He is a really good person, and I think a lot of that is because his dad and I were able to maintain a friendship.
Exactly, and bravo for that, honestly. So there's something that come up right now is, I know we certainly already addressed it a little bit, but I want to ask you, do you think that your previous marriage has somewhere helped you become the partner you are now? Because there's
Um,
always lessons that we take from how good or bad the previous one were into the
right.
new.
So with my ex, he's the one that calmed me down. So I was really when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I was extremely explosive, and I had no control over my anger. My fuse was really short. And he's the one that was able to kind of tone that down and show me that, just because you're upset doesn't mean you need to break things, and you don't need to throw things across the house, and you don't need to yell and scream at me. We can have an adult conversation. And so he's the one that really taught me how to be a better person.
Right.
And so because of that, Kenny benefited because I have been a lot calmer since I've been with Kenny than I was before. So yeah, I would definitely say that I benefited from that
Oh,
relationship.
that's great. That's great. Um, there's something else. Often, and the purpose of this question, Lonna, you are free to answer or reject them if you know they're too personal. Is that often we bring the baggage of the effect that we had in previous relationships into the new one. So for the people that are looking, because you went through two relationships, one that was toxic. I mean, call it toxic. And the second one that was loving but ending because of the loss of your dear friend. And how do you think that you brought some baggages, and how did you, you know, how did you, oh, my brain gone away in a second. Just left now. English just left my brain right now.
How- So how did I deal with it?
Yes, how did
Uh,
you deal with it, and how did you overcome them? That's what I was. Yes.
okay, so when I met Dylan's dad, or when I was with Dylan's dad for that 10 years that we were married, I had a lot of baggage, and I actually did when I came into the marriage with Kenny, but it wasn't so much baggage from a previous relationship. It was from my childhood and from how I had a couple of stalkers when I was a teenager, like bad, try to kill me type
Oh,
stalkers that
so
are in
sorry.
prison for it.
Wow.
So I went through a lot of stuff before the age of 20. And because of that, I didn't know how to love another person, and I didn't know how to be loved. So when I was with Dylan's dad, he is 12 years older than me. And so he had that adult figure, I guess, that I really needed to teach me how to be the person that I wanted to be, because I didn't know. I was a completely different person back then. I mean, I was still the same. I still hyper and like that, but he taught me how to let go of that, not let go of it. That's not the right word. How to I guess thrive even though I had all this baggage from my childhood. My parents were horrible people. Um
Sorry.
horrible. I was raised by my dad and stepmom, so she was like, have you ever seen Cinderella?
Oh,
So
oh,
that
sorry.
step monster makes mine look like I don't know. That Cinderella's stepmom looks really, really nice compared to the one I had. She hated me. And that's another reason why I was the way I was when with my son and my ex, because she was so mean to us, and I didn't want my son to ever have to go through anything like that. So I chose to break the cycles when I was with his dad, but it wasn't something that I was able to do myself. I had to have somebody kind of hold my hand and say, "No, this is not right, Lonna, and this is the way that loving people show other people that they care." Like
Yeah.
screaming at somebody and throwing things, and just because you get into a fight with somebody doesn't mean you need to get into a fight with somebody. You can have an argument without being cruel and hurtful physically or emotionally. So he's the one that kind of helped me deal with all that kind of baggage. Occasionally it comes out with Kenny, but honestly, we never fight. We don't we agree on pretty much everything. So it's not something that has come up a lot for us.
Right. That's good. That's good. I'm so sorry that you went through so much,
It
you
made
know.
me really strong.
Yeah, yeah. Um, just generally now, Lona, it's like, what role does forgiveness, plays into your marriage, considering your past experiences? Do you feel that you are more maybe candid with Kenny
Um,
today?
I
Are you?
don't like, as far as forgiveness, I'm not the forgive and forget type. I will hold on to a grudge until the day I die. I don't know how, it's not something that I have learned how to let go. So I have forgiven my mom, my bio mom, for her part in my childhood. She was an alcoholic and drug addict, and she chose that over us, which is why our dad raised us.
Right.
But I didn't even know her until I was a teenager. So she's never really been a mom figure for me. And we've never been close until this last year. We've gotten close in the last year. But I've forgiven her for her part because she admitted that what she did was not right. My dad and stepmonster have not been forgiven and never will be. I have no desire to ever. Well, he died in 2000. Whoa, he died in 2005, and I don't even know where she is. I don't care. But things did not end well in that part, and I never really felt the need to forgive them. I know people say that forgiveness is for you, not for them, but that's not how my brain works. I can't if I feel like if I'm forgiving them, I'm letting them off the hook, and it's not something I'm willing to do. So I'll be holding on to that until I die. But like when Kenny does something that upsets me, I can easily forgive him because he's a good
Oh,
person and I know he loves me.
yeah, yeah.
So I
Good.
guess I guess I've learned how to forgive. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have forgiven him for the smallest infractions. I would have held on to it and then, brought it up 3 years later when we got into an argument. You remember when you did this? And blah, blah. I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore.
This is why I ask you the question because I've seen your comment here on one of my video about forgiveness. And it's true. I mean, for me, it's it's however you feel, because nobody else can tell you how you should behave or do things. If you if you are still able to move forward, advance with your life and be happy and not forgive your dad and your stepmom, that's you. And then that's fine,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I know that I had to forgive some people that I cannot name because they're still alive and they will come and hunt me. I had to do it because I keep grudge. I just realized that, like you, I'm like I keep grudges, and I'm quick as removing people from my life and
Yep.
leave as they don't exist.
Yep. That's what I do. I cut that. I like cut them
Yes.
off, and I'm done. When I tell Kenny that I'm the type of person that when I'm done, I'm done. I don't do second chances. I don't do, you can come back and apologize for all this terrible stuff that you did to me 3 years later because I'm not going to let it go. So I just have to cut people off. And I've walked out on so many people in my life and never looked back. And I don't have any regrets about it. So I don't feel like it was the wrong decision because it was better for me. It was what I needed.
Yeah, because we need to protect ourselves, our peace, right?
Right.
And to me, for some family member who are toxic, because family can be toxic,
Yep.
is that I just love them from far. The
Yeah.
same, there's a lot of people that are cut off completely and that don't want to hear about them. I don't wish them anything wrong. I wish they're okay on their own there. But I
Yeah.
don't want them in my life because them in my life is a disturbance, it's toxic, and life is too short.
Yep.
Life
Exactly.
is too short.
Yep.
So right, that's nice. So let's just go. I still want to, because it's a marriage series, and this series is really to give tips because, oh, my t shirt is marriage wisdom. So it's, giving wisdom to the youngster and to, married people. And what I was telling you before we came live is that the reason why that series that I'm doing is not talking about all the lovey-dovey and how marriage is wonderful, because I want to tell the truth about marriage. Too
Yep.
many women show just a beautiful face of what marriage is, and those people coming out, we already have been brainwashed by Cinderella stories, right? So
Yeah.
we now, as we are elders now. Can you imagine? I mean,
I
elders.
know. I know. I've got grays.
No,
I'll do
me,
it.
I can't even hide my entire head is gray. So, so we have like maybe not what's that word? We have responsibility, maybe not, but I'd rather tell the truth. My
Yeah.
marriage is not perfect.
Nope.
We went through so many ups and downs, right? Because I want someone else to hear it. Another woman who's coming to marry, who going through so many troubles, to understand that this is marriage. It's not all pink. Oh,
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's
it is.
hard work.
Yeah.
Even when you have a relationship, a really good relationship like Kenny and I have, it's still hard work. You still have to wake up every day and choose to love that person and choose to fall in love with them all over again every day. It's not easy. Like if somebody hurts you, especially if it's the person that's supposed to love you more than anything else, if they do something that hurts you, then it's a choice you have to make to let that go and move beyond it. And when I say that, when they hurt you, I am extremely sensitive. I have rejection sensitive dysphoria like you would not believe. So it does not take much to hurt my feelings when it's somebody that I care about. If it's somebody I don't care about, whatever, I don't care. But if Kenny says or does something that hurts my feelings, then I have to make a conscious decision to let that go and choose him when I wake up the next morning or when I go to bed or whatever the case may be. I have to make that conscious decision every day to work at this and not just walk away and or run away because that's what my history is. Just cut and run.
Yeah,
Lana.
that's me. That it's me. I don't know, like it's yeah, escapism all the time. I'm
Yep.
good at just leaving and going, taking my backpack, and I'm somewhere in the world, but don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, and what you said is beautiful, choosing every day to love him,
Yep.
to
And
forgive, to,
for me, that's what it is. I have to do that because if I don't, then I will just get in my car and leave because that's how I'm wired. It's just it's all I've ever known is when the going gets tough, I go. I'm out of here. And
yeah,
we've
yeah,
been through we've been through a lot of stuff, but not anything between us. It was all outside forces. So it brought us closer, but we had to work through a lot of things that maybe other people wouldn't have to deal with, like his ex stalking us for 13 years. I mean, stuff like that that isn't normal that we've
yeah.
had to, I guess, work with.
Right. And are you okay now? Not entering into details, but is that story with the ex is now settled?
Well, all of his kids are adults now, so she has no reason to.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
Yeah.
not that she needs a reason because she's crazy, like not ADHD crazy, like really crazy. And yeah, I'm okay. I've never like been afraid of her or anything. If anything, she's afraid of me because I'm me. But um she did cause a lot of issues with us in our early days with starting rumors. Like I worked night a lot, so I'd be working at night and I would get these messages while I was at work that so and so was with Kenny or Kenny was at her house or stuff like this that wasn't true because I knew exactly where he was. He was at his mom's because of this stuff.
Right.
So oh, I mean,
Right.
we've been through a lot, and I've had to learn to trust him despite my innate sense to not trust.
Yeah.
I'm very mistrustful in general. So I've had to teach myself to just assume he's telling me the truth rather than assume he's lying to me.
Yeah. The other thing is that I've noticed that you are very self-aware.
I am, and I'm very outspoken and very blunt. So
That's good. I can't say different because I'm also very blunt. So I have to really tame myself when I do my videos because sometimes I've just blurb something. I'm like, okay, come down,
same.
You know,
Why do you think I have to edit so much?
I spend so much time editing. And it's we always say that communication is so important in marriage, right?
Right.
And so, how do you think that your communication has changed, over the years,
I
um, with your husband?
So I have learned how to like listen to everything that he's saying instead of cherry picking what I want to hear and only hearing what is negative. Like I'm only hearing the bad things that you're saying, and I haven't heard a good thing that you've said. Like, I don't think you've said anything nice to me in 3 years. And I I have had to teach myself to really listen to everything that he's saying instead of just the bad stuff, because that's how I've always been. I hear the bad and tend to overlook the good. And he has taught me that, not everybody's bad. Not every man out there is going to try to hurt me. And there are still good people left in the world. So he really is the one person in my life that has taught me how to communicate effectively as far as listening. I feel like listening is the most important part of communication.
Definitely. And honestly, you make so many good points out there. Listening is something that I am still working on.
Me too. It's a
You know,
daily.
listen actively. When my husband talk, I'm already guarded. Like he's
Hmm.
attacking me. I'm ready
Yeah.
to like, you know, and I'm trying to stop that. I'm just trying to, as you said, really listen to what he says and not my own interpretation. But my
Right.
husband being very blunt because he's autistic, it just says things as it is. And he will stop me there. Like, stop interpreting what I'm saying. And now he does something, he doesn't do that on purpose, very patronizing in the sense where when he says something and he knows that I never listened properly, and I will just interpret. Now, when it says something, it's like, what did you understand? At first, he annoyed me because I was like, you taking me for a kid? Do you want to test my intelligence? All of that. But he was right because often I didn't understand what he was saying.
Right.
And so when I rephrase it, it's like, no, that's not what I meant.
Right.
Right. So we adapted now in the marriage, we adopted it in the marriage now, how when we communicate and we want to make sure that the other one really understood, what we said was like, okay, what did you understand? Okay, I heard that. Okay, and then we try to tweak it. But it's a walk every
Yeah.
day. I'm not there yet. I'm
Yeah,
still,
and with both of us having ADHD, his ADHD is a lot milder than mine, which is probably a good thing, because if we were both like me, I don't think we'd know, if it was day or night. I was we keep each other on track for sure, but if because he has ADHD as well, the listening thing and communicating effectively has been something that we've both had to work on. I'll be in the kitchen doing something and he'll be in his chair watching TV or on his phone or whatever it is he's doing. And
Mhm.
I'll say something and he won't respond. Like nothing. And so I'm like, are you listening to me? Like, why am I talking to myself? Do you even hear a word I'm saying? I still do that. And it annoys the crap out of me. And he knows this. Like, if I'm talking, give me some sort of response so I know you're listening. Don't just nothing. Because if you don't do anything, then I assume you're ignoring me. But
Okay.
so yeah, that's something that we are still working on, is active listening on Kenny's part, because he's more inattentive, I guess, for inattentive ADHD, where he is more just off in his own little world and doesn't hear anything else that's going on. Jackson will be standing right next to him talking and he doesn't hear a word he's saying. I'm just like, Jackson's talking to you. Hello. So
So I know you've answered already almost to that question. Is like, how does ADHD? Do you think that there's always a positive and negative, right?
right.
So how do you think that both of you having ADHD has I don't know, make your marriage better? Maybe because you understand each other,
That's it.
what the other one is dealing with. Um, yeah, how
Yeah,
does it affect your day to day being
it
both?
having both of us having ADHD has definitely made it easier for us to understand each other, and
Hmm.
it's made it easier for us to parent our child too, because when one of us says one thing and one of us says another thing, then we have to work together to try to figure out which one is best for our child and not which one is best for us. But we have to, um, oh, I don't know how to say it. Our ADHD has taught us that we need to I guess actively listen to what the other person is saying, and we can't just make assumptions. That's what I want to say. Is we would just jump to conclusions and make assumptions without hearing completely what the other person is saying. So if you've got one person that is ADHD and one that's not, like in the case with my ex, it was so easy for me to just run right over the top of him and say what I wanted to say because you can't stop me when I start talking. But being as Kenny is also ADHD, he'll run right over the top of me too. So I mean, it's just constant running over the top of each other and trying to figure out how not to do. So
Yeah.
that's how ADHD, both of us having ADHD has made things challenging for us, but it's also made it so we can more easily understand what the other person is going through or what they're feeling or thinking because we have similar feelings.
Yeah.
It's not it's not hard to imagine or hard to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Okay. So again, because of your channel, talking about ADHD, for the people that are watching, maybe having ADHD, both partner, and as you say, it can bring both challenges and strengths. You
Mhm.
know, you know each other, you know what the other one is going through. Did you, if you have one or two strategy that you put in place with your spouse to manage, the symptoms within your partnership, something practical, what would that be?
I guess the most important thing that we have in place is letting the other person finish talking before we start talking because ADHD people tend to interrupt. And like if I don't say what I'm thinking right now, then I'm gonna forget it.
Yes, yes, I
So
know.
so
Yeah.
we have had to that is our probably our biggest thing that we have in place is we have to allow the other person to stop talking before we start talking.
So
So
how do you do that practically? Do you do like a timer? Because that's what we did with my husband. And again, thank you so much, Lonna, because you're giving me vocabulary. You said something about ADHD people interrupting. And that's a problem that I have with my husband because often I interrupt everyone in my family. It's not that I just want to be central, but I need to say it.
yes,
If I
that's
don't say it, it's going to go away.
yep,
So now with timing with my husband, like, okay, 1 minute something, we're trying to make sure that we have that issue where we talk over each other.
yeah.
So, okay, all 5 minutes, you say what I have to say. I can't say anything. If I have a thought coming, I write it down so I don't forget it, but
That's
I
what I
don't
was gonna
interrupt
say.
you. Do you do something similar?
So
How do you time it?
we haven't used timers yet, but that's a really good strategy. The what I do is I write it down. If there's something that I need to say and it's something that I can't let go, then I'll write it down while he's talking. And he knows that if I'm writing while he's talking, I'm still listening to him. I'm not ignoring him. But yeah, I'm the type of person that I can't do small talk. So it's like you need to get to the point. And if you just keep going around and around and around, I'm going to get irritated. So he knows that. Like
Yeah.
just cut to the chase and get to the point and don't make me wonder what in the heck you're talking about. Just but yes, timers is a really good strategy. I think that we might have to try that.
It helped because otherwise it's very difficult because someone want to say something and will interrupt anyway. But
Yeah.
if the timer is not up, you can't talk.
Yeah,
So
we need one of those microphones that I don't know if you've seen the presidential debates, but anybody in the US that
yeah,
has seen a presidential debate will know what I'm talking about. When Kamala and Donald Trump are debating, they they have to turn their microphones off when it's not their turn to talk because they both talk over the top of people. So I'm
Yeah,
like, we need to do that. We need to turn our microphones off when the other person is talking. That's a great
exactly.
idea.
Yeah, right. And you know, on your channel, you've shared that you've actually been diagnosed as a ADHD later on in life, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And as your experience with ADHD changed after 50, you're 50 plus, right? Or are you younger?
I'll be 49 in November.
49, you're still a baby. No, I'm joking. Right. Yeah. So club 50. Yeah, you're almost there. You know, I
Almost.
was 45 and I was like, okay, I'm 50. I mean, I'm already 50.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I feel
Yeah. 49. In July, did you say?
in November,
In
in
November.
just a couple months.
Yeah, is in my head. Okay. Right. Okay. So, but did it change once you got diagnosed? Did the
Yes. When before I was diagnosed with ADHD, I have been diagnosed with everything from anxiety and depression to bipolar disorder my
yeah,
whole life. Like I have had so many diagnoses. And so I've always just figured, and none of the medicines worked. None of the treatments ever worked for me. So I've just always just figured that I'm crazy, that I inherited something from my mom's side and I just must be crazy. So when I was actually diagnosed, it changed everything for me because now I had a reason for literally everything that I have ever said or done in my entire life can be explained by ADHD. That's how severe my case is.
wow.
So it affects every single aspect of my life. So getting that diagnosis was validation that I wasn't crazy. And it made it so much easier for me to do life because I wasn't constantly afraid of I'm going to say this, I'm going to say the wrong thing, I'm going to do the wrong thing, somebody's going to get mad at me. It changed all of that for me where now it's just everything I do can be explained.
Yeah.
And that makes such a validation is such a huge thing. I know that, not everybody wants to get diagnosed. And for some people, it's not a big deal not to.
Yeah.
But there are so many overlapping symptoms in the mental health world between different illnesses, which is why ADHD is always misdiagnosed as something else, especially in women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you get that diagnosis, it completely validates everything. Like it's amazing. It's also I went through the stages of grief with the anger and all of that, but the validation that I felt just having that diagnosis made a huge difference for me.
Wow. And is it easy to get diagnostic in the US? In here, it's extremely complicated. My daughters have been diagnosed when they were at school, but as an adult, the reason why I haven't done it is extremely expensive. So I was thinking to go maybe in countries where it's not that expensive. Is it easy in the US?
So it cost a few $1,000s
Oh,
to go through all the testing, but basically you have to be tested by a psychiatric professional, so a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Or I mean, a regular doctor could diagnose you, but it's not going to. They don't tend to know very much about mental health issues. They're more the physical side, so you really need to see a mental health provider.
yeah.
And my nurse practitioner that I see, my provider, uh, the very first time I saw her, she noticed the ADHD symptoms in me. And I told her, I said, I think I might have ADHD because when I was making all of these, making these lists of diagnoses for my son, or the list of behaviors for him, I was realizing that I'm all of these things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so she is an ADHD specialist, but she said, I think that, yeah, I think you're right. You're definitely misdiagnosed. You don't have bipolar, which is what I was diagnosed with when I first started seeing her. And so she sent me to see a child psychologist, and they're the ones that tested me, and they're actually the best people to go to to get diagnosed because they have the most knowledge about ADHD, the child psychologist. So I had to do all their testing, and it came back obviously that I have ADHD combined type and that it's a severe case of it. But I think that the cost of it is really prohibitive for a lot of people because not
Yeah.
everybody has, 3 grand laying around, and a lot of times insurance doesn't cover that kind of stuff. But we don't have like the 3 year long waiting list like you'll have over there with NIH. Is that what it is? Your national health insurance, or whatever. We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have we don't have
NFS.
weights like that. I She referred me to this child psychologist, and I was diagnosed within 2 weeks. So it was just um, me seeking out the professional, and then the professional referring me to somebody else, and then that person doing the testing and then sending the results back to your provider. Is pretty much, it's not super complicated, it's just expensive.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what keep a lot of people from, being diagnosed. And the same for me is like because when your kids are being diagnosed, you have to fill a lot of form answer to how they were as they were a kid and how they behaved. And
Right.
the same way, like I could see a lot of similarities as well. So
And actually, one of the main criteria is you have to have had so many symptoms. I can't remember how many it is, like 5 to 7 symptoms before the age of 12. So
yeah,
if these symptoms all started when you were a teenager or a young adult, chances are it's bipolar or something else. But if it
yeah,
started before you were 12, that's one of the diagnostic criteria. So I think it's important for people to know, or think back to your childhood before you go seek out a diagnosis. Think
yeah.
back to your childhood, and did you have all of this stuff going on then, or is it something that developed later? Because you save yourself a lot of money if it's something that developed later.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you, for all this information, and I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from it. And guys, I'll repeat: go see Lona's channel. It's an amazing channel, and you will learn a lot. Subscribe, and honestly, you won't regret it.
Thank
Um, Lona, so let's go and talk a bit about fun. So, when you've been married for over 10 years now.
you. Yep, 13.
13 years. So that's a long time to be married. And one of the things when you've been married for so long, it's like, having fun in the marriage, become like a distant, story. But
Yeah,
I heard you say a lot of time how much you and Kenny get along.
yeah.
And so how do you have fun in your marriage?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that people need to remember is to continue dating. So when not other people, but your spouse. So
Precision, not all the people.
yeah, when you've been married for even a few years, like
Yeah.
the excitement just it dies out, and you have to work at staying happy and excited about being married to this person. So we continue dating, and we both love to ride motorcycles, and we have our own. I don't ride on the back of anybody else's motorcycle. It's a control thing. I have to have my own.
Mhm.
And we like to do that. We like to travel, and we love to go to the ocean, the beach, stuff like anything that is ocean related. I am all over that. And he has a lot of similar interests. He's not into the things that I like to do, like reading and going down these rabbit holes. That's not his thing. He's into cars and fixing cars and that kind of stuff. So we have our differences, but we'll try new restaurants. We'll just go hang out. Go like when Jackson has his camps or something like his camp outs, Kenny and I will go have a date night. We don't go to movies because neither one of us can sit through one and watch it without wandering off or talking about something else.
I just
But
realized something, quiz. And
We try, I mean, we live at Lake of the Ozarks, which is, I don't know if you know anything about it, but it's a huge lake and there are yachts on this lake. That's how big it is.
I
So
heard
we
about
have
it.
we have bike fest. We've got festivals going on all the time around here. So we try to get out and do fun things instead of just sitting around and staring at our phone, staring at the TV. We don't watch much TV, but even working on the house together, we just try to do things together to make sure that we're staying close and not drifting apart.
Yeah. There's something that you said that really amazed me in my comment. You left a message about how you make a present during the month of Christmas.
Oh, the present today.
Yes, one present a day during. I would have never thought of it. What's as present experiences or whatever. So, can you tell us about that? So, you don't celebrate Christmas
Well, I mean,
as such.
we don't celebrate Christmas like other people celebrate Christmas. I mean, I believe in God and all of that, but I don't believe that. I feel like Christmas was stolen from the pagans, that it was originally a pagan holiday. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you. But I have different beliefs around Christmas. And to me, it's all about the kids. So what we will do is, because our kids both have ADHD and they are very impatient and they need instant gratification, we started doing a present a day for the month of December to kind of, I guess, break that up so they're not sitting there with, 30 presents under the Christmas tree trying to figure out
Yeah.
shaking everything and what is it, where they get to actually open something every day, and it just keeps them excited for the whole month.
I love that. It's a bit like the calendar month, the
The
advent
advent,
calendar.
yeah.
Honestly, I love the idea. So, can you, because you said it's not so much about like gift, like material gift, it could be experiences. Can you give some ideas? Because it's September, a few people are already starting to prepare Christmas. What can you give some ideas of the type of gift that you would give daily? So is it for
Well,
the whole family or just any of you? So I'm sorry.
so
I can.
the gift a day thing, we don't, Kenny and I don't buy gifts for each other. And we decided to not do that when we very first got married, just because it really stresses both of us out trying to figure out what to buy for the other person.
Yeah.
So rather than buying gifts for each other, if we see something that we want, we just buy it. So if I really want something, I'll buy it. And Kenny, hey, this is what you bought me, type of thing. For our kids, it's Jackson is really into Legos and video games, and he's a 12-year-old boy, so things that 12-year-old boys like, cars. So
Yeah.
we'll buy him Lego car kits and dinosaurs and stuff like that. Each day he can choose which present he wants to open, and he always saves the biggest one for the last day. But our other son is the same way, instant gratification. So if you give them something small every day, it doesn't have to be huge, like a pack of cars for a boy or a Barbie doll for girls, or stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever they're interested in. It's not super expensive to do it that way. He ends up with more stuff, but sometimes we'll give him, like last year, he wanted Lego cars. So we just bought him a bunch of different Lego kits, and he got to open a new one each day. And he was super excited because he had all these different cars that he could build. And the experiences, the way we do that is, that's more for our family or just for Kenny and I. So one of the experiences that we did last year was we went to I think it's called Wild World. It's in Branson, and it's kind of like a zoo, but they have this lemur experience where you can go in the enclosure with the lemurs and you can feed them and you can play with them. So
Wow.
things like that
Yeah.
isn't something that you would just normally get to do every day. We try to do things that are, you're going to make memories doing.
I love that. I love that. I always look for different ways. In my family, we're not big in gift, and we haven't been in so many years. We rarely gift anything. And if we really want something, we all have an Amazon list where whatever, maybe I need a new SIM card, not SIM card, SD card, because as a content creator, you go through a lot of SD cards.
Yep.
So in my Amazon list, maybe for my birthday, they'll go get me something there. So exactly something that I need and not
Yep.
any gift.
Right. Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm kind of a minimalist, so I don't want a bunch of crap. Like, I don't want you to go buy me stuff that you think I want. Ask me what I actually want. So
Exactly.
we do the Amazon list thing too. That's actually how my sister and I buy for each other is
Yeah.
we have our Amazon list and I'll pick something off her Amazon list and she'll pick something off mine and that's how
E-
we do that.
Exactly. I hate, giving gift and receiving gift that
Me too.
I'm trying to reduce my stuff, so I don't want to receive a bunch of things that I will never use and
Yep.
put in the bin. So every year, for me, what's important with my family is create experiences. It's not always travel because that's my obsession, but it could be just at home. Like the daily thing for me would
Mhm.
be making cards for my husband a day, saying something that I like about him, about our marriage, and deliver that every day into
Yeah.
the advent calendar. So, but you're giving me great idea for this year coming because I always try to do something exceptional for the family to create that bond, not only with my husband, but with the whole family. Our kids are already adult, 21 and 26. So, it's important to still create this memory before they're completely,
Yeah.
away. And yeah,
Yeah. We have a place that is about 2 hours. Branson is about 2 hours from us, and it's a big tourist trap. But we like to go down there and get one of their lakeside cabins. It's a lot quieter than here, so we will do that every couple of years or something. And our oldest son, even though he's out on his own, he'll come with us. So it's like a big family thing. My sister will come down, like it's a whole bunch of us, and we will rent this lakeside cabin and just hang out for a week. And that's probably one of my favorite things to do. We always go to the same place, so we know the people that own it, and it's just it's a lot of fun. It's like our family reunion, I guess.
yeah, that's lovely. So just to close a little bit chapter about marriage, do you have like um dreams? Do you still have dreams for your marriage, for where you want to be in, I don't know, I don't, not in 5 years, 10 years, but like in the future, do you still have dreams for your marriage?
Um, I think for the most part, I am not um I can't see that far ahead. So for me, everything is kind of short term and I hope for the best.
Yeah,
So uh I just know that he's my person and that if I continue to work at my listening skills and if we continue to work on forgiving and letting things go and falling in love with each other over and over again, that he's going to be the one that I'm with 30 years from now. I just can't, my brain doesn't work that way where I can plan like long term planning. I can't do
yeah.
it. I mean, I can say I can and I could lie to you and tell you all this different stuff, but my brain,
Yeah, but that would be just wishes. I think more than planning, because planning is something else, even for me. But like wishes in the long term, I was thinking of something like, for me, the way I see myself, because we are citizens of the world, we have too many identities. We have
yeah,
Gabon, Cameroon, France, and we're planning to move back to France at some point. But the way I see myself, let's say when I'm 70 in 20 years with my husband, is in a farm somewhere in Cameroon with self-sufficient food, in a small plantation where we can be self-sufficient, where we don't, you know, that's how
yeah.
I see us. Yeah, that's my dream for us.
I actually had that same dream. Kenny and I had that dream when we moved here, the self-sufficiency thing. We actually,
Yeah.
when we built our house, we had a wood stove in it, and it was like all very romanticized or whatever, but it was too much work. I With my car accident that I was in, I broke my back in that accident, so
Oh,
I can't do I can do work today, but I'm gonna pay for it for the next week type of thing.
yeah.
So, as much as I really loved the idea of being able to, live out away from it all and be close to everything, but be self-sufficient, it wasn't something that was realistic after we got into it. But that's why it's hard for me to say, well, this is what I dream because I might be in a wheelchair in 5 years. I don't know. My
Hopefully not.
dream is
Yeah.
that we will still be together. So
Yeah.
and
Absolutely. That's a beautiful dream. That is a beautiful dream. So, Luna, it was such a pleasure. Honestly, I could talk to you until tomorrow. As soon as we started connected on YouTube, I felt so drawn to you.
I
So,
same. I
and
you hurt my feelings in that very first video where you were showing the channels
yeah,
and talking about inauthenticity or something like that, and I was like, I almost started crying because I was like, does she really see me that way? So that's why I commented on it. Hey, I noticed that you was like, I'm not gonna just assume that she meant that in a bad way because like I said, I see the negative in everything. So I'm so glad that I commented and that you responded because it's hard telling. I probably would have just, okay,
yeah.
bye.
I'm so sorry. And you know that English not being my language, and also I'm always taking that as an excuse. But the thing is, I talk before I think very often, and that blurb thing, and I use sometimes word that I don't even understand. And my kids are always saying that this is offensive. I say, no, I like that word, it's so offensive. They're like, no, mom, you're not changing the meaning of the word. That's offensive.
Well, that's me. I am the queen of making up words. So
So So yeah, I'm so happy that we connected.
me
And
too.
please tell everyone where they can find you. If you can talk again about your channels, and if you have a last advice or something that you want to share with the audience, please do. The floor
Okay.
is yours.
So I'll do that part first so I don't forget. I want everybody to, if you are married long term or if you want to be married long term, to remember that communication is the most important thing in any relationship. And the most important part of communicating is listening. It's not talking, it's listening. So that's what I want to leave with people. My channel is Lonna ADHD, and you can find me at Lonna ADHD. It's super simple. And if you have any ADHD woes or experiences or anything that you would like to share or learn about, hit me up. I am willing to do videos for other people, what people want to learn about. So that's what I
Excellent.
have.
And you also have Simply Lane.
Yeah, I always forget about that one. I have Simply Lane if cleaning and organizing is your thing.
Yeah, where you can get a lot of good tips and amazing music and so engaging. I do my cleaning with you and I'm pumped. And sometimes I don't want to do something. I'm like, oh, well, she's cleaning there too. Okay, let me go and do that too.
Good deal.
So, yeah, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. And I hope to have you here again.
I hope so. It was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun, and the time went so fast
It
that it's
did.
difficult to say goodbye. Yeah, we've been here for almost for 1 hour. So anyway, family, friends, thank you for being here. I hope you did enjoy the conversation and that you've learned a lot. And please don't forget to go on Lona's two channels. I'll put them on the screen. The second one, Simply Lane,
Cool.
and you won't regret it. Subscribe, say hi, and be part of the conversation in marriage. And if you have a lot to share, please hit us in the comments and we'll reply to you. All right.
Cool.
So until next time.
Bye.